Welcome to NRI Guest Live Show. My name is Sridhar. Today we have a distinguished guest in our TV5 studios. His name is Sridhar, and he was born and raised in Edison and been a police officer for 23 years, still living in Edison Township with his wife Elizabeth and two of his kids. In the past, he has held positions like Democratic Party Chair for Edison as well as the PBA, Police Benevolent Association President. Right now, he is contesting for New Jersey's fifth largest township, Edison, as a mayor. And he is in our TV5 studios. And let's welcome and talk to him. Good evening, Mr. Sridhar. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me tonight. It's a real pleasure to be here. When you first asked me to be on, I started doing a little research online about
our channel?
Yeah, about your channel, and realized it's one of the biggest channels going.
Thank you.
So it's a great honor to be here tonight, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, your office was inquiring what is your channel and where it comes and everything.
Yes.
I just did explain that we are on the satellite and other stuff, and then probably your research. Thank you very much. In reality, also we are the only one news channel, Telugu news channel on the dish satellite as of today. There are so many entertainment, but as of news, we are the only one. So we are proud that we are the leading global channel, TV5.
Great, and thank you so much for having me.
We are in live
it's
right
a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So, Kit, and what it really make you to choose this political career? I mean, all of a sudden, like being in, like a police officer for 23 years and coming into politics, like your journey started as a Democratic chair, or even for right now contesting for mayor. Yeah,
it's not really something I chose or I ever saw myself doing. It's just kind of the way my career evolved. I was the PBA president and got involved a lot dealing with the different mayors and administration in town, and it just kind of evolved that way. Not something I ever planned on, not something I ever thought I'd see myself doing, but here I am today running for mayor in New Jersey's fifth biggest town.
Sometimes what happens is when we were working as an employee, the boss is like, let's say if as an employee, I can make a company bigger and the boss is not cooperating or the owner is not cooperating, I get some frustration. All of a sudden I decide, hey, let me be on the other side and make it. When I get an opportunity, I turn. So similarly, did you find any like some system that inspired you really to be contesting for mayor today?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of things that go into the play. The taxes in Edison have, the current mayor's raised the taxes 15.4%. on the municipal side. The sewer taxes have went up 43.5%.
Garbage tax also went up.
Yeah, the garbage tax was up 10%. I'm sure you saw that commercial where I jumped out of the garbage can.
I saw that. Yes.
That was a pretty big hit. A lot of people were entertained by that. So it's the different things like that in town. We lack a recreation or community center. So being a police officer for 23 years, one of the things I've found, the only thing that keeps kids out of trouble is to keep them busy. If you don't keep them busy, they're going to find things to keep themselves busy, and they tend to usually get in trouble. So we need to have a recreation and community center, especially in the Indian community, where they like to have festivals and community gatherings. We don't have a place like that in town. So that's one of the things I'd like to see us work on in the future.
You were a police officer, you said 23 years.
Yes, 23.
If you became a mayor, how would you feel? Some big excitement, or?
No, I don't think it would be too much of a change. The job's the same. I've been a police officer.
Unless you become a governor.
I've been a police officer for 23 years, and there's 3 traits or characteristics I try to bring with me to work every day, and that's common sense. You go to work and you try and use common sense.
Yes.
The other thing is compassion. You try to have compassion for the people that you're dealing with. And the third thing every day is empathy. You try and put yourself in the other person's shoes. And I think they're qualities that I've used as a police officer over 23 years that I plan on bringing to the mayor's office, and I'm going to do the job the same way. If you use common sense, you have compassion, and you have empathy, I think you're going to be right 99 times out of 100. And that one time you're wrong, you're going to be wrong, but you're going to do it because you're trying to do the right thing.
Yes.
And I think that that'll be a new twist on municipal government in Edison.
Got it. And as you rightly said, the common sense is placed everywhere, that role. That's fantastic. And And after you, from the police officer, and you also held the positions like Democratic Edison Party chair.
Yeah.
And what did really make you leave, or something? You know, what do you want to? Why did you leave that place? And that was a Democratic thing. And today you are contesting for Republican.
Yeah. So when I was the Democratic chairman, I was kind of always in a middle of the road guy, and when the opportunity presented itself where the Republican candidate for mayor had stepped down, and it was presented to me to take his place and run, it wasn't too much of a jump, because I went from here to here. It wasn't like I went from one extreme to the other. So it wasn't a really big jump for me.
Okay. And today, who is your opponent?
Right now the opponent is Mayor Tom Lanke, who's been there for the past 4 years.
Past 4 years.
Mayor, yes.
And if you is contesting for the second term.
He's contesting for the second term, which, interestingly enough, we haven't had a two-term mayor in, I think, 16 years now.
Fantastic. That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah.
If you look at that statistics in the past, and if it doesn't happen, certain things, it's not going to happen again. So, based on the statistics, our probability.
Yeah, it's been
16 years, you said.
16 years, yes.
And that is something like, that means it's going to be like in a golden, it's a great chance as far as the probability is concerned.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
Advance congratulate you.
I hope you're right, yes. Thank you.
And so that's a very interesting thing. And, the reason is this Edison being if you look at that, you are with the Trump. I saw that a lot of pictures with the Trump. What is your relation with the Trump? Is it something like you met him casually, or maybe some sort of like a special relationship?
Yeah, I really don't have a relationship with President Trump. What happened was I was working when the Barclays golf outing came to Plainfield Country Club a few years ago, and I was assigned to the front door of the country club. They came up, the captain came up and said, this is when he was still a candidate, before he was the front runner, and said, Trump's going to be here in 2 minutes. You need to walk with me. So he showed up with the two golf pros from Bedminster and his son, who was, I think, 9 or 10 at the time. And we walked with him for about 3 hours. And he was a gentleman, very pleasant to be around, had a warm welcome from everybody at the golf course. And it was a good experience.
Got it. And also, coming back to the point of, you said even the probability point of view also, for last 16 years there was no second term mayor. And if you look at that New Jersey state, traditionally it's always been like a Democratic state, and all the mayors and all the council heads are pretty much like Democrats. Do you think that still are you going to win because of
I think we have a really good chance. Now in Edison, we've never had a Republican mayor before. So if I win, I'll be the first Republican elected mayor in the history of Edison Township. But we're getting support from a lot of different groups that are historically Democratic groups. The ETEA, which is the teachers union in Edison Township, came out with an endorsement last week. They're the largest union with about, I think it's 1,500 or 1,600 members. In a township of 100,000 people. Even
obviously police officers are also largest. You being a police officer, they would endorse you.
And so the different public unions.
Fire, for that matter.
Fire will be supportive. And then also today I just got a great endorsement from our previous mayor, who was a Democrat, Antonia Rosigliano, came out and endorsed me. And she called me up and she said, Keith, I just want to tell you, I have never voted for a Republican in my life, and I probably never will again, but I'm going to endorse you for mayor. So that was it was an honor and very humbling, to get a call from the previous mayor like that.
Fantastic, good to hear that. I pretty much traditionally this police, teachers, and fire, there are pretty largest, endorsements.
Sure.
And do you think this endorsement are really going to make a big significant difference in your view?
I think it does. It will, in the fact that it's cutting right into their base. Them groups are all historically Democratic. So for them to be coming out and endorsing me as a Republican or supporting me as a Republican is definitely a change in the norm. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out. But I'm optimistic we're going to be on the right end.
I mean, recently it happened to be, I've also attended when the Trump president came to Bedminster. I was also there to meet President Trump, and he was participating in the campaigning of Tom MacArthur. And so do you also make any attempt or try to approach him for your mayorship? Because, these are the traditional states of Democrat. Hey, this is the time, Mr. Trump, you have to really spend time and, make it some significant, it's going to be,
I've been a police officer for 23 years. I will always respect the president and the office of the presidency. So he's more than welcome to come to Edison if he'd like. But I don't think that's something that's ever happened before, where we've had the president get involved in a local mayoral election. But he'd be more than welcome.
Maybe you could set the trend.
I'd be happy to have him if he wanted to come.
Yeah, he has to start at the root level to become the strongest.
That would be great.
It would help him for next elections.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah,
and also typically. I know that the primary is gone. And what is the typical election process? Is the November 7th, or how does it happen?
So the election this year is November 7th, and it's the general election. So whether you're an independent, Democrat, or Republican, you come out and vote for any candidate you want. And I've been telling people since the beginning, after switching parties, this election isn't about politics or party. It's about people and giving the people a choice. We've all seen and suffered the consequences at Edison with the one-party rule over the past 30, 40, 50 years. So I'm giving the people an opportunity that if they don't like what they see and they don't like the direction the town's heading in, I'm giving them an opportunity for something different.
Yes. And how big is this Edison Township in terms of population? I know it's the fifth largest, but...
Yeah, so Edison's the fifth largest town in the state, and it's a population of over 100,000 people.
Which is the largest one, first one?
Largest would be Newark.
Okay.
Then you have Jersey City, then you have Patterson, then you have Elizabeth. But I always say Edison is the largest town that pays their own bills.
Oh.
Because Newark, Jersey City, Patterson, and Elizabeth, they get a lot of state aid. As a matter of fact, Elizabeth, which is the next biggest town, they get more money just in state aid for their school budget than Edison gets than our entire budget for our school and municipal side.
Is it because of the pretty much Indian community, where Indian community is very high standard of income, so they are honest payers of tax income? Is it really contributing, do you think?
Well, that has definitely part of it, because Edison has the highest ratables in the state. So the residents of Edison pay more money in taxes than the residents in any other town
Out
in
of
the state.
100,000, how many are Indians, do you think?
I'm going to say it's probably right now in the 35%, maybe
35%?
maybe 40%.
I see. And 35%, and that's a big number actually.
Yes.
So typically, out of 100,000, what are the typical votes are cast? I mean, casted, maybe 50,000, 50%, 70%?
No, it'll probably be 20 to 22,000 votes will be cast
That's it.
in the election. Yeah.
So that means if you say that 22 out of 100,000, 22,000 or 23,500 are the votes are casted, and if there are Indians of 35%, that is 35,000 Indians are there, and if they decide, if they are unanimous and together, if they come forward and put their 100% of votes, do you think, are you going to win 100%?
100%. At that point, I'd be 100%.
Hey guys, this is a great opportunity now. At least we can be the decision makers of making mayor win. So let's come together, and if you want, I can just coordinate, put all together. You can email me if you want, and let's all unanimously come forward and support Kithan. And definitely we need a change. Sometimes change can play a lot of wonders, but for good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless it's a proverb, if I keep drinking coffee, if I say that that's the best, how do I know that unless I try something else?
Yeah, you're right.
So you have to keep trying something till it makes you good.
Sure.
Yes. And as you rightly said, the Indians, is typically like 35% are approximately as out of 100, and whereas the controlling stock or decision making, the voters are around that much. So what are now we want our people to vote for you now. So let's go back and convince them. What are the typical issues the Indians have as a mayor, as a future mayor?
Well, one of the biggest things is small business. A lot of people in the Indian community own small businesses.
Yes.
And whether it's the permitting or the licensing or the process that becomes lengthy and burdensome, it really takes its toll on the small business owner. So stuff like that is really something you could work on to work with the small business owner, specifically in the Indian community, to make their life easier and make their livelihood easier.
Okay, and also I see that the Oak Tree Road is pretty much like the people in the Indian community, they talk like a mini India, basically.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people out there. So now, if you look at that Oak Tree Road, the long road, and it has got I don't know, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm also in this country for the last 22 years now.
Yeah.
So I'm going by my general, this thing. And half of the portion is Edison and half the portion is in Islin. And
Correct.
now, the Islin, you have recently at that, I forgot the road, maybe near that, not the Green Street, some jewelry, some raw jewelry or something there. And you have a public parking places you created and in Islin area. But if you come to the Edison side, and there are not that many public places, so do you think that small businesses, because of the traffic and parking, the businesses are going down? So do you have any plans of Edison Township coming into more public park?
On the Edison side, it's more of strip malls and kind of stuff like that.
Yep.
But there are properties up there that need to be redeveloped. They need to come up with a plan that makes it more pedestrian friendly, where you don't have one strip mall and you got to cross the street to get to the other, and make it pedestrian accessible.
Yep.
But that's the big difference between the Woodward side of Oak Tree Road and the Edison side.
Yeah, because typically the Indians are like most of the people, as you rightly said, they're into businesses or into entrepreneur or either doctors or lawyers or high tax paying bracket. So we want to, if we had to attract more of businesses, in the Edison side also, we need those type of parking. Without parking, nobody is going to, recently I tried going to some place and I didn't get parking, so I had to go to some other city.
You kept driving right by.
Yes, absolutely. Parking. We don't want to keep carrying all this stuff and walk a lot of things. So being a police officer, and what was the crime rate did you find in Edison?
Well, the crime rate is very low in Edison. The police do a great job. The community's one of the safest, not only in the state, but in the country. So when it comes to crime, Edison's doing a good job in that regards.
In Edison?
Yes, sir.
Is it because of, is it because of the lot of educated people or a lot of high taxpayer, because of that the crime is low?
Well, I think it's twofold. It's the people who live in the community. They keep an eye out. They call when they see something. And it's also the police who are vigilant and do a really good job.
How many police officers are controlling?
Right now, I think we're up to 192 police officers
192,
in town.
Wow.
Correct.
The entire 100,000 people patrolling.
And it's 32 square miles. And, the guys do a great job every day when they come to work. And it really shows when you look at the statistics.
And they do that, most of the time, this is all 3 shifts round the clock.
Yeah, 3 shifts, 24/7 operation.
Yes.
You have guys on the road, you have a communication and dispatch center. So it's a big operation.
And basically, since you are a mayor and you are here to win, and what would you like to do for our Indians if you become a mayor?
Well, first thing I would do is our current mayor now, he has a couple jobs. He's a senior vice president at JFK Hospital. He's the chairman of the board at Magyar Bank, and then he's the part-time mayor in Edison Township. So the first thing I would do is I would be a full-time mayor.
Excellent.
I would retire my job as a police officer, and I would be a full-time mayor. Being the 5th largest town in the state, it's not something you can really manage and get your hands around on a part-time basis.
It's a very important.
You need to be there every day.
Yes.
And that's where I would start.
No part-time service works.
The other thing that would come, being I switch parties and I'm running as a Republican, is if I do win, I don't owe anybody any favors. I don't owe any jobs. I don't owe any political favors. I don't know any of that stuff. So you can solve a lot of the problems just by hiring competent people who are able to do their job that don't have any political ties or political aspirations. So if you cut that out, you're making headway right out of the gate. And I think that's something I'll be in a uniquely positioned to do if I do win.
Yes. The reason is why I'm talking is typically we are talking about the Indians thing side. And I understand that you would be working full time as well as you would be keeping the competent people and all those things. But the thing is, in present township, how many Indians are, really, when you say that like a town of 100,000 people versus 35% Indians, does it have a reflection in the township jobs? 35% of the positions. I would say that not even 5%, not even 3%.
I don't know about that. There's been,
that was my wild guess.
There's been more lately, but obviously, as you know, law enforcement in the state, they'd like police departments to reflect the community that they work in, and it's no different for the township. You would like the people that work in town to reflect the community they work in.
Got it.
So that's something we would strive to do.
Yes. So you would plan to increase the police, the various communities as well as the administrative staff or various other.
Yeah, whether it's police, fire, town hall, recreation, you want people when they come in to interact with the workers in town hall to be reflective of the community that you live in. So everybody who lives in town or still lives in town, they live there for a reason. They like the diversity. They like interacting with different people, and I think town hall should reflect the rest of the town.
Yes, and also like if you look at that, and the places in the school system, I don't know, like as a township, how much we will talk about that education systems, and as a mayor, whether do you have real influence in the. Let me ask you a question. As a mayor, do you have a really influence in the school system in USA?
Well, in our government,
it's done at the county level.
You have the municipal and the Board of Education is a separately elected Board of Education. But as mayor, you're essentially the CEO of the township.
Yes.
So I think it's important for the mayor and the superintendent and the Board of Education to work collectively to solve the issues, especially the issues we're facing in Edison right now. We have a horrible space shortage. The schools are overcrowded. We don't have the space. They actually had to do away with full-day kindergarten because they don't have the space.
If you plan to solve that problem, increase the schools, don't you think the taxes will go up because of additional burden of?
No, and that's what everybody thinks, but that's not necessarily true. Like in Woodbridge this year, they just did a thing through economic development and using pilot programs where they built a new school, they added to other schools, they brought back full-day kindergarten, and at zero cost to the taxpayer.
Probably that would draw more traffic to new people and more taxpayers.
And Mayor McCormick, who does a great job in Woodbridge, did it at zero cost or zero net increase to the taxpayer. So what I would do is, they're a town of the similar size, similar demographics, and what I would do is I'd go to Mayor McCormick and ask him how they did it. And we would try and duplicate the same thing here in Edison.
And also, like, if you look at that, basically, the let's say if you go to the schools, the kids, they have a choice of taking as a Spanish as a foreign language or Chinese as a foreign language. And in a city like Edison, where majority of the people are Indians, I mean, not majority, at least significant number, why don't we have Indian's language as a foreign language, like Hindi or any other thing?
I believe in our schools we do. They have a lot.
They have it?
I believe they do. They have a lot of diverse programs in the schools. Edison, as you know, it probably has some of the best schools in the state.
Yes, North Edison especially.
North Edison, Edison High in the South End is moving up every year. They have great teachers.
They do have right now the what you call the foreign language.
I believe they do. Yes.
Okay, that's a good thing. I mean, if they have it, that's well and good. But as a voice of people, and we have to request you to have that, having a 35%, having at least not 35 benefits, at least 10% of those benefits to start with. We would like to have 35%, but at least to start with 3.5%.
Of course.
So that's the thing. And similarly, we also have a major festivals like Diwali, and where people would like to celebrate in the workplace as well as outside or whatever it is, and plus if you look at that, Maryland governor has officially declared saying that we do support, with his own speech or statements, and similarly the Virginia governor also, they said declared as a one day as a celebration for Diwali. Now Edison, I do not know whether they have right now or not. You may be knowing better than me. And do they have anything for Diwali as an official recognized holiday by the state or as well as Edison?
So the school schedule has changed their days off for holidays to recognize the different holidays.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the Diwali is one of them, but I would have to check on that. But yeah, a lot of the different holidays are recognized in Edison because it is a diverse community, and it has been for quite some time.
Yes. So I think, so I mean, if they have it, that's well and good, because a lot of people are really seeking, and even if they don't have, as a mayor, would you, is it in your parameters of declaring, at least for your township, to have that system? Do you have that power or?
Well, I think township-wide, we're quick to embrace all the holidays and celebrate them, whether it's Diwali, Navratri, the Ganesh festivals.
Wow, you know all those things.
Yeah, so we've been celebrating all of them. I think Peter Katori started the first Navratri festival down in Edison and Raritan Center probably back in the 90s. I think he's been doing it for that long. And they used to come in and set up this elaborate tent, which was 100,000 square foot. And
yes, and also I would like to ask you, recently when Trump has become a president, and there was a lot of, in the beginning especially, may not be right now, in the beginning there was a lot of sort of like a insecure feeling in the minorities, especially part of it is also for Indians, because there were a couple of people who were, sort of like a shot dead or something, and the hate crimes things. And there was a sort of like a insecure feeling. As a mayor, especially when your town has got such a lot of Indian community, and on top of it, being a Republican Trump supporter, how would you, assure your people in your city as a CEO?
Well, again, Edison is a historically very safe community. The police do a great job. We have very little violence, whether it's the Indian community, the white community, the Hispanic, the black. So we would just look to carry that through. And like I said, Edison's a very safe community.
Yes, that's what many people, even I hear from the people, safe community. But sometimes, occasionally, I hear recently like a little, some sort of like a, some robberies or something I heard, because of they carry a lot of jewelry.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're never going to have a zero crime rate.
Of course.
So that's impossible.
Nobody expects
but what we do have is we have a high solve rate too, a high success in solving crimes. So when there is a robbery or a break-in or something like that, I'm going to say well over 90% of the time that it does get solved, or they do find out who the perpetrator was.
And so, I mean, as I said, that you're here to really convince our viewers to really vote for you.
Yeah.
So that's why I would like to focus more on that, because I want your trip to our studio should really benefit. And today we have a little technical difficulty. That's why we are not able to take a lot of callers.
Okay.
I was told there are around many callers are calling,
All right.
and some reason the calls are not coming inside because of. They don't want to disturb our show, but we don't want to take the calls right now.
That's fine.
Sorry,
That's
viewers.
fine.
I really apologize. A lot of people are waiting, and we are not able to take it due to technical difficulties. But I'm sure that we do take a lot of calls every time. So, and as a mayor, I understand that you said that you would reduce the taxes. And apart from that, what else you would like to do it? To
Well,
our
I started off in the beginning with the recreation and community center.
Recreation,
we
that's
need
a
a
good thing.
public space
Yes.
for people to enjoy and utilize.
Is it for specifically for Indians, or is it for
No,
anybody?
it would be a community center would be for the entire community.
Okay.
So it may be for, may be utilized for Diwali during the Diwali holiday, for Christmas during the Christmas holiday.
Got it.
It's for the entire community. And I think what you get is once you have a community space like that, whether the kids are Hindi or Catholic or Jewish or whatever their religion are, when it's at the community center that you play basketball or volleyball or soccer, the kids are more likely to interact and share that experience with the other people as opposed to going someplace else. So I think it really helped the kids interact and experience the different cultures as well.
Excellent. And also, Keith, you have been, as a 23 years as a police officer and also a Democratic Party chair for Edison. And is there any major significant milestones or success stories you had, so that we know that, hey, Keith is going to make it happen again for us?
Success
stories.
Meaning like police-wise, in my police career?
Anything.
I could. There's so many over 23 years, but the one that's always stuck with me from day one is I was a young patrolman, probably less than 6 months on the job, and I was working midnight shift, and a call came in for a baby not breathing.
Yes.
And when the call came in, I was literally right in front of the house. So I parked the car, I went in, and the kid was dressed up and wrapped in a blanket and was turning blue and was having a febrile seizure and had stopped breathing. And I did CPR, and the baby started breathing again.
Wow.
And the reason I tell that story is because just recently that girl had got in touch with me on Facebook and sent me a message on Facebook after all these years later. So that was a pretty unique experience.
Fantastic. That is something like life-saving.
Yeah.
And also, like, as a police officer, any tough situations, big, chasings or, sort of like a gun shooting?
I mean, you have them over the years. Never been involved in a shooting.
Okay.
I've pulled my gun on several occasions, but never had to fire it.
That's good.
Thank God.
At least,
But it's more them jobs you don't really remember so much because that's your job to come to work and deal with that. It's the jobs you really remember where you get to help somebody or make a difference for somebody that really stick with you over the years.
So now, I mean, and as a family, like, you're such a busy life, going everywhere for campaigning. Even today, you said that you had to go for a lot of fundraisings and all other things. So your family, how they cooperate?
So yeah, tonight we had a fundraiser earlier, and my wife actually brought my kids. My wife Liz brought my kids. My daughter Katie's 9, my son's 6. So she brought them to the fundraiser, and my son has an electric spinning bow tie that he insisted on wearing. So he came in and he had this spinning bow tie, and while we were up there talking, he insisted on coming up and standing up in front of everybody and letting them see his spinning bow tie.
Yes.
So they're engaged and helping out as well.
Yep. And also, like, and that's a very great to hear, because of your family and supporting stories. And definitely, we always, I was told that there are a lot of calls, and they're not able to, give it to inside, I don't know, we have a caller. I think there's a caller. Hello? Hello? Okay.
All right.
So I think I think they try to make some attempt, but they are not able to give the line. So anyway, and definitely, Keith, and in the end, I don't want to, I mean, I know it's a very busy day, and so what you would like to tell our viewers finally before we close?
I think what I'd like to tell them is, be cognizant of how much your property taxes.
Before you go, that caller is still there. He was saying he
Okay.
wants to desperately. Yes, please go ahead. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello? 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 I think we're not going to take any calls now because there's some sort of like, yes. Go ahead, Keith. Yeah.
So what I'd like to tell them is, the current mayor, Mayor Lanke, has raised their property taxes 15.4% on the municipal side.
Yes.
The sewer tax 43.5%.
Yep.
And even the garbage tax 10%.
Yes.
Our infrastructure is aging and in desperate need of repair.
Yes.
We're lacking the community and recreation centers for our kids and families to enjoy. And we've all seen and suffered the consequence of a one-party rule over the last 30, 40, 50 years. So again, I tell everybody that this election is not about politics or party. It's about people and giving the people of Edison a choice.
Yes. And thank you very much, Keith, and all the way coming to our TV5 studios and explaining about your views on our, helping Indians, and that's a very great to hear a lot of facts, and we are very, very happy to hear a lot of good things what you would like to intend to do, and we wish you really good luck to you to become the mayor, and definitely We want you to win, simple as that. And we want you to come here as a mayor, and we would like to do the show on November 7th, I think. When the results are going to be declared? 7th
yeah,
or 8th?
they'll come out November 7th. So
7th.
if everybody can come out November 7th, make sure they cast their vote, let their voice be heard.
Yes.
And it would be a great thing to come back here victorious after November 7th.
Definitely, Keith. Thank you so much. And definitely keep watching TV5. I'm signing off. Sridhar Chillara. Thank you.